The Action Line on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
Well, last year we told you about a young man who was in need of a new kidney. He got that new kidney this year in 2024 after first having problems develop in 2023 while visiting his mom who lives in Colorado. But again, the young man, he attends school at Blackman Middle here in Murfreesboro, but was there over the summer in Colorado visiting with his mother when he started to get sick. Very sick. And he described some of the pain that he started to feel. His mom took him to the hospital, and that's when he learned he had a serious kidney problem and that he would need a new kidney sooner than later. Well, here in Murfreesboro, his father tried to do all that he could to find a donor. Ultimately, they had to go with a nonprofit organization to help them in that whole process. They did find a kidney. He did receive the kidney, but then that kidney didn't work as it should. And the young man, Leaven Wilson, is going to be re-added to the kidney transplant list in the near future. It'll probably be in January of 2025. Well, recently, we had a chance to sit down and talk with Leaven about that journey he's been on so far and what he sees to come in the near future for himself and what his parents had to say about everything. Tell me about this whole journey for you, how it all started off, and then where you are today.
So where it all started was I think 2 years ago. It was basically just a normal day, but my back was only hurting a little bit, and then my back hurted a million times more.
Leaven's mom, Alicia Wilson, is also with us.
From him showing up at Target to me carrying him into the emergency room, I knew what I had to do. I knew I had to get help for Leaven.
We went to the hospital to see what was going on. I was diagnosed with chronic kidney disease. And a couple years later, I got a kidney transplant, and then that kidney failed. And I got an NG tube.
An NG tube is a nasogastric tube which is inserted through the nose. It then goes into the stomach and is used for short-term feeding.
And then I got that out, and then I got a G tube put in.
The G tube is similar in what it does, but the biggest difference is it's surgically implanted directly into the stomach through the abdominal wall, and it's used for longer-term feeding.
And I'm waiting for my second kidney transplant, and I think that's about it.
I'm curious, what would you tell somebody's parent if you sat down with them and said, here's what your son's going to go through?
Okay, so you might think that the NG tube is easier because it goes through your nose all the way down to your stomach, easy peasy. It's not because, from your nose to your stomach, that's a long way. And you have to actively just push it up there. And you can't really eat by mouth that much because it'll tug on the NG tube, and that sucks. And also it could make you extremely nauseous. Throwing it up every morning is, not good because you have to put it back in.
These are big things for somebody to go through. So when you talk about that first kidney transplant and how it didn't continue to work like it should have, what was that like? What was going through your mind when all that was occurring, when the doctors were talking to you?
It was a little bit scary, but I'm pretty sure the pain that I was in was, distracting me from that.
You're a pretty tough kid. I mean, I don't know many adults that could handle all that you have handled so far. I mean, it's a lot.
It is.
When you realized, or I guess when the doctors realized that something wasn't quite working like it should after that kidney transplant, what was the first thing they told you, or what was the first that you heard that something's not working right?
They said, right after we did just a test run on dialysis, that it wasn't filtering by itself and I would still have to continue with dialysis.
So not filtering by itself. This is all new to you for the most part because obviously you've never had a kidney transplant before. Did you understand going into it this may not work?
A little, yeah.
And at the same time, you had your mom, you had your dad. What were they telling you about all this? Were they maybe more worried than you were?
Definitely.
I bet so. The hospital that you were at, talk a little bit about that. Were there other kids there? The staff, how were they with you?
They were pretty nice.
Have you got some that stood out to you more so than others that maybe you became friends with and you were able to talk to a lot easier?
Definitely.
Tell me about them.
Their name is MJ. She's one of the dialysis nurses.
And what stands out about her? What made her different?
I don't know. She's just extremely kind.
Extremely kind. Did she do anything while you were there that, you really appreciated that maybe other nurses didn't do?
Not pulling on like the dialysis port or messing with it too much.
I'm not sure what the dialysis port is, so you got to kind of explain what that is.
So there's this one tube that goes from here into the heart. It goes through like this. It does not break through any ribs. It goes like through the little cracks and into the heart. And that's where the blood goes in. Now there's like two other tubes. One pulls the blood and the other one gives the blood back.
I bet you become kind of an expert on kidneys and how they function.
I know the basics.
Has any of this changed your path for what you see yourself doing in the future?
Yeah.
What is it that you want to do?
My future job has changed. I forgot what it used to be, marine biologist, but I think now it's to be working with the child life at the children's hospital.
I like that. Talk a little bit more about that and what you see yourself doing.
The child life is they basically go to a patient, try to ease them through the situation they're going in, and they also explain the situation and what's going to happen in detail. And also, if need be, they could ask for one of the medical dogs to come over, or you can ask if they sometimes ask if you want a stress ball or if you want to play video games.
Did you play a lot of video games?
Yes.
I bet so. Which ones did you play more so than others?
Ooh, Arkham Knight, Mortal Kombat, and Injustice 2.
You often hear stories about people who overcame great obstacles, did amazing things in life, but it changed them very early on after whatever that situation was that happened. How do you see this has changed Leaven?
I really believe that he has been through the fire and forged, and he's stronger for it.
Do you think this is going to change his direction in a lot of ways once he gets older?
I hope it helps him have the resolve to get through the troubles that will come up, because he's had extra troubles, but that doesn't mean the regular ones go away.
Now, how did you feel physically going through all of this? From the beginning, I know you said you were in, I believe, Target, and you had that horrible back pain, rushed to the hospital. So let's skip ahead a little bit.
It felt like my back was basically turned into bone dust.
I can't imagine that. That must have been really bad.
Like it felt like I got a chainsaw to the back.
That's a pretty powerful description.
Since the problems with the kidney were first discovered in Colorado, which is where Leaven's mom Alicia lives, that's where Leaven began the treatments, where he received the transplant, and where he remains today.
Have you been surprised by his strength?
Yes. It was really rough in the beginning, but it's like every goal we accomplish, every procedure, he gets that much stronger. He gets that much more confident. And also just his trust in himself and able to say like, hey, I don't feel good. This doesn't feel right. Help me.
You've undergone a lot. I mean, do you think this has made you tougher, stronger in a lot of ways?
Definitely.
If somebody said, hey, man, what's the toughest part of all this?
You know what? I'm gonna have to say the toughest at the beginning. And then another toughest part is a surgery. Like even the mention of surgery. Ugh, that'll get you spooked.
Right before you had that kidney transplant, how were you feeling that week?
Oh, I was tired. I didn't have a good appetite. I was aching a little bit in the upper and lower chest area.
I'm sure after the initial surgery, you had just the regular pain that anybody would have with surgery of any type.
Yeah, and then when the surgery was done, I was really nauseous. After I got the kidney transplant. Thank you. And I felt like extremely sore. And then when I threw up those days, the stomach muscles would go from like nice and eased to like just tight and constricted, which hurt a lot.
Have you felt pain like that before?
No.
So after the surgery, did you at any point start to feel a little bit better?
Yes. When I was like walking again, I definitely felt better. And when I was back on, well, trying to get as much food by mouth.
When the doctors realized, this kidney is not working like it should, we're going to have to remove it.
They were not going to remove it. That one stays to not cause more harm.
Okay.
And also, so it's a little less intrusive.
The hardest part has been the unknown. Thankfully, though, I tell Leaven all the time, I was like, I've been prepared through my life for this. I was in the military. I understand how the unknown can be. I know how to get through it.
What's the plan going forward now?
Tried to get some exercise in and kind of just sleep well and stay healthy and take my medicines every day at the time that I'm supposed to. And in the beginning of the year, I go back on the transplant list.
Are you excited about that?
Yes.
What have they told you about that possibility of getting the new kidney, how long they thought it would take, and what they think will happen?
It sounded very reasonable because it's not like you get an organ a day at the hospital.
You're going through something that I would say the majority of people will never go through. I'm sure it's scary at times and interesting at others, and of course painful a lot of the time.
Yeah, it is.
Alicia Wilson, Leaven's mother.
So he's currently on the inactive transplant list, which means he can receive a transplant from someone who volunteers their body, so a living donor. At the beginning of the year, if we can keep him healthy, because he got really sick after that last transplant, we spent about 6 months of him losing weight, not being able to eat, getting C. diff back to back, where the doctors were like, we can't put him through the operation. It'll be too hard on his body, and we can't take that risk. And I completely understand. It's hard to hear, that you have to wait when you feel like time is like not infinite. And now he's on the inactive transplant list. And after the beginning of the year, the doctors are talking about putting him on the active transplant list, which means that if there's a deceased donor, he'll be able to get another transplant.
The conversation we're having, it's a conversation that most people don't have with kids. I mean, I don't know what the numbers are, but you being one of those, let's say another child hears this interview, what would you tell that child to kind of prepare for, expect, and to think about?
Prepare for maybe a whole lot of scary parts, but if I push through it, they sure can too. Expect a couple of tubes inside of your body. Expect that. There's one to help you breathe. That one's the most annoying one. The NG tube. That one hurts a bit. The bulb that helps so you don't bleed everywhere. A catheter to, make sure you get all of your fluids out, your waste fluids. And also you might have to wear a diaper.
You said something important. You said if Leaven can do it, then you guys, whoever listening, can do it as well.
Yep.
You got through it. They're going to get through it too.
Mm-hmm.
What are you looking forward to once they find another kidney to put in?
To be honest, I just can't wait to go swimming again.
Is that your number one thing you're looking forward to?
Number 3 at least. Number 1 is finally going home.
Going home.
Well, number 2 is getting the kidney.
So number 1, going home. Number 2, getting a new kidney that works right. And then number 3 would be going swimming.
Yeah.
When we did the first story on Leaven, we spoke to his father, Elijah Wilson, who blanketed the town with flyers talking about the need for his son, Leaven, to get that new kidney.
The work that Elijah's been doing, he's reaching out to local businesses in Tennessee. He is being the best fan of Leaven I could ever hope for. I'm taking care of the things on the front line, and he's got all the management and getting the word out there for looking for a living donor, getting the support we need because everything's expensive. And he's just been doing really good stuff. And I'm so thankful for him.
Since the problems with the kidney were first discovered in Colorado, which is where Leaven's mom, Alicia, lives, that's where Leaven began the treatments, where he received the transplant, and where he remains today.
Right now, you're in Denver, Colorado, that area?
We're a little closer to Aurora.
Now, what's it like there? Is it cold there?
It is, but I feel like it's going to heat up soon. I think it's like 52 Fahrenheit today.
When you talk about going home, are you at your mom's house now, or are you guys at a hotel? How are y'all doing this?
I am at my mom's house.
Prior to all of this, you lived at your dad's house in Murfreesboro?
I did.
So that means that's where the majority of your toys are and all that stuff, your video games, your friends, all of it.
Yeah, mainly friends.
Have you had a chance to talk to a lot of your friends throughout this?
Mm-hmm.
How'd you go about doing that?
Texts, calling them, making some new friends.
You made a lot of new friends there in Colorado, I guess what, at the hospital?
At MDT, Medical Day Treatment.
Oh, okay. Now, where do you go to school there? Is that where you also do school?
Yes. And MDT is, well, it's half hospital with half school. So we do online school with like teachers who could help us. And then if we ever get a fever, need to rest, need meds, the nurses help us with all of that.
Okay. So what is that like when you're hanging out with other kids or going through different medical things? What is that like, and what are some of those kids going through?
I don't know much about their conditions, to be honest. I know one of them has one of those automatic wheelchairs. One of them has something to do with muscles.
Do you guys talk, compare notes?
Not too much. Usually we just use our free time to play board games, coloring pages, read.
For those who are listening, what are some of the things that stand out to you that you recall throughout this whole process that you would like to talk more about?
So, there's a little funny story here. I've quite literally broken the internet once.
How did you do that?
So, my first donation website, as soon as it opened, so many people were on there and so many people donated that the site shut down, which was crazy.
That is really crazy. That means people were looking you up, reading about you, learning about what was going on, and it shut the site down.
Yep.
Did you ever think something like that would happen?
Not at all.
Now, your dad told me that there are also some billboards up that had your name on it, maybe even your picture, before you actually had the transplant?
Yep.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, some people have actually noticed my billboards, like my nurse, my therapist, one of my other therapists. And that's about it.
So a lot of people saw those billboards. Were you almost famous all of a sudden?
Yeah, I would say so.
Did you have random people say, "Hey, I saw your picture on a billboard"?
Definitely, yeah.
Is that awkward at times?
Not at all. It makes complete sense. It's a billboard. You can't miss it.
That's very true. It kind of stands out, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
We spoke to his father, Elijah Wilson, who lives here in Murfreesboro.
He thinks it's really cool that Mile High Outdoor Advertisement in Colorado have digital billboards. They have the email kidney4lw@gmail.com and has his face up there. He thinks it's pretty cool to go around town and see his face on billboards around town.
What are some other things that you remember throughout this journey? People you met along the way? Somebody that gave you encouragement that stands out more so than others?
Maureen, she's one of the child life. And I don't know, we watch animal videos to calm down or just joke about something.
No, what's her name again?
Maureen.
That's a different name.
Yeah.
Now, the times you were in the hospital, I know, for example, at Vanderbilt, sometimes famous people will stop by. They'll see all the kids. They'll sign autographs. They'll bring some toys. Did things like that happen there?
On Christmas, they usually do a toy drive, and it's where it's like a little parade of like sports mascots and Santa. And then there are these people who ride motorcycles from like, I think, state to state and give out presents to kids who need them.
You've really experienced a lot for your age. Now, remind me how old you are.
13.
13. All right. So you've had what, 1 or 2 birthdays throughout all this?
2.
2. Okay. Now, when's your next birthday coming up? What month is it in?
It's in January.
January. Wow. So it's right around the corner, roughly 2 months away.
Yep.
Is there anything special you're hoping to get for your birthday this year, or maybe even for Christmas?
No, not really. Actually, yeah, there is one that I would love to do on either Christmas or birthday. I would just love to go to the Monkey Paw Toy Store. They have like a lot of comic action figures, some like action figure accessories or like a couple of lightsabers or blasters or collectibles.
What is the thing called again?
Monkey Paw Toy Store.
Have you gotten to do anything that is fun, fascinating throughout all this?
Yeah, for Make-A-Wish, I went to Disney, Universal, and Legoland.
And those are places that some people never go to their entire life, but you had a chance to go. That's pretty neat. What was the coolest part about going there?
My favorite part about Disney is that I built my own lightsaber. And at Legoland, I like the roller coasters. Universal, I love the dinosaur statues. Oh wait, I forgot one of them. And also SeaWorld, I got to see a walrus.
All right, so get me up to date here. What is coming up next, and what's going on as far as that future hospital visit, doctor visit? That way, folks can kind of get an idea of where you stand today.
Well, right now we are like basically waiting to get signed up. Just taking my medicine, having dialysis.
Right now, we're just concentrating on getting him to his dialysis treatments, taking his medicine. He's still on the immunosuppressant drugs, even though the kidney failed. It's still really important to keep up that drug regimen.
Yeah, that is about it.
What'd you do on Wednesday?
No, let's hear about it. What happened Wednesday?
A fecal transplant.
What exactly is that?
They get healthy fecal matter or poop. They test it, and then they put it through my G tube, and well, that fights off the bad bacteria that is overrun in the gut and replacing it with new good bacteria.
So do a lot of folks who go through kidney transplant surgeries, do they do the same thing?
No, there are a couple rare circumstances for that to be a need.
That doesn't sound like a lot of fun. I guess it's just one of those things that goes along with it.
It is real quick and easy. It doesn't take too long.
So what are some other things that are coming up?
My brother's coming here at Thanksgiving.
That's great. So when's the last time you saw your brother in person?
Last Christmas.
Man, is that the hardest part, not seeing your own brother?
A little.
I bet it is.
I just bug him every day.
Are you guys real close?
Yeah, we're family.
Yeah, and it's got to be harder being so far away. This has made it tougher on you. What is your hope for, the near future? What is your goal, or what would you like to see happen?
Not having to have a G-tube or dialysis.
What are they telling you as far as getting another kidney? Because I know he said he was added or will be added to another waiting list for a kidney.
Yes, so he's currently on the inactive transplant list, which means he can receive a transplant from someone who volunteers their body, so a living donor. At the beginning of the year, if we can keep him healthy, because he got really sick after that last transplant, we spent about 6 months of him losing weight, not being able to eat, getting C. diff back to back, where the doctors were like, we can't transplant a sick kid. We can't put him through the operation. It'll be too hard on his body, and we can't take that risk. And I completely understand. It's hard to hear, that you have to wait when you feel like time is like the most precious resource we have, right? It's not infinite. Yeah, we just had to wait. And now he's on the inactive transplant list. And after the beginning of the year, the doctors are talking about putting him on the active transplant list, which means that if there's a deceased donor, he'll be able to get another transplant.
And with that first transplant, where his body, I guess, did not properly take it, did the doctors tell you why they think that happened, and why they think it won't happen again, or what will happen in the future?
So Leaven developed a clot in his right leg, and that clot built up over time. Like, it was basically a ticking time bomb. And when they transplanted the kidney, that clot moved up into the kidney and damaged it. Even though the doctors, removed the clot, he's on blood thinners now. We actually had to go back a second time, and they took the new kidney out to put in like TPA, which is it's a declotting agent to clear all the clots out and put it back in. It slowly just decreased in its abilities.
The light at the end of the tunnel, if you would, is that it wasn't his body rejecting this kidney. It was a separate issue.
Right.
If somebody wants to learn more about your journey, or if they want to learn how they can figure out how to help out, where can they get information like that?
Facebook, and the name of the Facebook account is Leaven 2.0.
Leaven 2.0. So what is the 2.0 for?
The 2.0 is for like my new kidney.
In closing, Levin's mom had this to say.
I'd like to say to the people that are listening that if you have the capability, if you have the bandwidth to handle it, that donating, either living or deceased, is really important. When people donate their body, it goes to the kids first, and they're our future.
For WGNS News, I'm Scott Walker.